Module 2. Interest aggregation and political parties. Imagine a bustling marketplace, buzzing with the voices of vendors and shoppers, each advocating for their own needs. This is much like the political scene, where countless individuals and groups clamor to have their voices heard. But how does this cacophony transform into a symphony of coherent policies? Enter interest aggregation. Interest aggregation is like the skillful conductor of an orchestra, harmonizing various melodies, interests, into a unified composition, policy programs. It's not just about hearing the different tunes, it's about arranging them in such a way that they create a balanced and appealing musical piece. The craftsman of politics, skills and resources in interest aggregation. Now, the process of interest aggregation isn't a simple task. It requires political virtuosos equipped with a range of skills and resources. These include votes, the currency of democracy, campaign funds, the fuel for political engines, political offices, strategic command centers, media access, the loudspeaker of the modern age, and sometimes, though we hope not too often, armed force, a rather extreme instrument in the political toolkit. The political catwalk, showcasing interests. How interests are aggregated is crucial. It's like a fashion show where only certain designs make it to the runway. This process decides which interests get the spotlight and who gets a seat in the audience. In a balanced government, competing policy goals strut down the catwalk, each vying for attention, but ultimately contributing to a diverse yet coherent collection. The world of political parties, tailors of democracy and authoritarianism. In the vast political wardrobe, political parties are the master tailors. They stitch together different interests into appealing policy outfits. In democracies, parties are like competing fashion brands, each offering their unique collection to the public. They are the middlemen, taking raw materials, public opinion and needs, and crafting them into ready-to-wear policy garments. In contrast, in authoritarian regimes, there's usually just one designer label, often deciding what the public will wear, with less regard for the latest trends or customer preferences. This top-down approach can sometimes feel more like a uniform than a bespoke suit. The unseen stitching, political elites and representation. A word on political elites, they are often the unseen tailors in the political fashion house. However, they tend to represent their own exclusive club more than the diverse clientele of the general population. They often don't reflect the age, gender, or class diversity of the society they serve. Imagine a fashion house where all the designers are from the same school, not much diversity in the designs, right? The executive suite, beyond legislation, into implementation. Shifting our gaze to the political executive, they are like the managers of the fashion house, overseeing everything except the actual design of the clothes. They ensure the designs are wearable, implementing policies, and maintain the brand's reputation, establishing trust in the political system. They are not the designers, legislators, but the ones who bring the designs to life. The changing landscape, agriculture in the modern world. As we step outside the political fashion house, let's glance at the fields of agriculture. The land, once vast and bountiful, has seen its couture of crops shrink due to urban expansion, population growth, and industrial development. The once expansive fields have given way to concrete and steel, reducing the space for agriculture, much like urban boutiques replacing open-air markets. The personal touch, patron-client relationships. Returning to our political marketplace, let's talk about a special kind of transaction, the patron-client relationship. It's like a loyalty program, but in the political sense. Here, patrons, politicians or influential figures, offer benefits to clients, voters or supporters, expecting loyalty and support in return. It's a reciprocal arrangement, akin to a shopkeeper giving regular customers special deals in hopes of continued patronage. Clientelism, the reciprocal bond. Clientelism takes this concept a step further. It's not just about transactions, it's about forming a bond, a mutual dependency. Think of it as a membership club where both the provider and the customer rely on each other. The provider offers exclusive services or goods, and the customer, in return, offers steadfast support and loyalty. Government and policy making, the dynamics of decision making. The structure of government, who's cooking in the political kitchen. Our political kitchen has various chefs, the legislatures, chief executives, bureaucracies, and courts. Each of these plays a crucial role in policy making. While you might be tempted to think that the parties and interest groups are the head chefs, it's actually the government officials who do the heavy lifting. They are the ones who take ideas and demands and turn them into policy proposals. Imagine someone demanding chocolate cake, tax relief or environmental protection. It's the government officials who actually have to bake it. Government and society, a dance of influence and decision. The relationship between government and society isn't a one-way street. It's more like a dance, with both partners moving and influencing each other. Society sends up its demands and influences, like a playlist request to a DJ, and the government sends down its decisions and policies, like the DJ playing tracks. Sometimes the music is exactly what you wanted, sometimes not, but the DJ, government, ultimately decides what gets played. When everyone gets along, the magic of consensus. Picture a family dinner where everyone mostly agrees on what to eat. That's what we call a consensual political environment. It's when the parties commanding most of the legislative seats aren't too far apart in their political views and trust each other reasonably. They pass the salt without spilling it, so to speak. The blueprint of society, the Constitution. Every society needs a recipe book or a manual. In the political world, this is the Constitution. It outlines the basic decision rules, rights, and distribution of authority. It's like the rulebook of a board game, setting the boundaries and explaining how to play the game of governance. Organizing the legislature, the power structure. In most democracies, the legislature is like a two-story house, known as bicameral. There's usually an upper house and a lower house, each with different roles, much like how a kitchen has a section for cooking and another for preparing ingredients. The boundaries of public policy. Public policy, much like a game, has its boundaries. Its scope can be limited by various factors, but predominantly by the policies of the party in power. Think of it as the head chef deciding on the restaurant's menu, what gets served and what doesn't. The local government's cookbook. Local governments, like sous chefs, have their own set of constraints. They are often limited by parliament-imposed functional and financial constraints, which dictate what they can and cannot do in their localities. It's like being told how much spice you can use or what ingredients are off-limits. Resolving kitchen disputes, the basic law. When departments clash over who gets what, like two chefs arguing over who gets the last tomato, the basic law in many countries dictates that these conflicts be resolved in the cabinet. It's like having a head chef step in to mediate and make the final call. The heaviest ingredient, public expenditure. When it comes to public expenditure, Social Security often takes the biggest slice of the pie. It's the heaviest ingredient in our governmental cooking, needing careful handling and balance to ensure the dish comes out right. Elites and social welfare, a philosophical stance. When it comes to social welfare programs, the elites, those seasoned chefs in our metaphorical kitchen, often focus on education and income concentration. They are concerned with ensuring that the meal is nutritious and benefits all, not just filling plates with empty calories.